The nominations for the 2018 Tony Awards have been announced. I'm sitting here in shock and awe and a little bit of disappointment at our scores that aren't better with my good friend David Buchanan. We have two musicals that are out front in the Best Musical category in terms of nominations. Mean Girls and SpongeBob both have 12 nominations each, which is pretty impressive. The Band's Visit is at 11. So David, what do you think is performing the best out of those? Who's in the position to win?
I am not going to be swayed by the overperformance of those shows. I think it's The Band's Visit. I mean, it has the buzz from way at the beginning of the season, even from when it debuted last year off Broadway. I don't see it being derailed, especially since I don't think it really missed anything that it really should have gotten today. I thought it would get a costume design nomination, and it didn't. Not the end of the world, because there's not any costume changes in it, really. So not terribly surprising that it missed out there.
Katrina Lenk changes her dress at one time.
Well, that's true, but they're not. You know, it's not the not the parade of costumes. Yeah. So yeah, I think Band's Visit is still out front. What do you think?
I think that's still out front. I do think that both Mean Girls and SpongeBob are now gonna. I can see them both getting on like a huge campaign.
Yeah.
With this wind in their sails. I mean, because SpongeBob, everyone, I mean, I will admit, myself included, I sat in the theater and I was like, SpongeBob, what the hell am I seeing? But then within 30 seconds of it starting, it is so much fun. It's just so infectious. You are bopping along the whole time. Yeah. And I was really impressed. And they obviously were too. Tina Landau, the director, deserves that nomination for taking something that no one thought would be, or at least theater people didn't think would be a great idea, and turning it into something incredible.
Absolutely.
And the band, Mean Girls has Tina Fey at the helm. And I think, I can see them kind of maybe throwing Book her way.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think
might be able to steal that from Itamar Moses.
Yeah, I think we both had been predicting her for Book since the nomination center opened to win. And I know that there's some skepticism because, just because it's chock full of jokes does not a best book make. But considering how well it did today, there's no way it's going home totally empty-handed. I think it could win in a few places. I think maybe I'll have to look through the list and refresh my memory, but that's definitely the category that stands out as their best bet at winning, I think.
Yeah, and on the revival side, that I think is still kind of a complete toss-up for me.
Yeah.
I've been waffling back and forth between them. I thought Carousel was going to do a lot worse, but then it came out of nowhere and has all these nominations. Yeah. Once on This Island somehow missed out on all these acting awards. It only has Haley Kilgore in there, whereas My Fair Lady and Carousel both have 4 apiece. So I'm sort of sticking to my stubborn Once on This Island train for now, just because it was so unique. But where do you lie?
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think I've always seen it as a two-way race between My Fair Lady and Once on This Island. I thought Carousel would get nominated. I didn't think it would do this well. So that speaks to how much at least they like the actors. And I certainly can't quibble with that. I think everybody that they nominated is fantastic. I don't think it means it's in the running for the trophy, though. I've got My Fair Lady out front. I think I'm going to stick with My Fair Lady for now. But I also don't think that Once on This Island really underperformed. It got in a lot of the key categories, not all the actors that we thought that it would. But yeah, I'm going with My Fair Lady for now. We'll see.
Well, I'll get to that when we talk about our most egregious snubs in a minute. But in terms of the actors, I think we have a battle between a woman from a revival and one from a new musical, and lead actress in the musical, with Katrina Lenk and Lauren Ambrose.
Yeah.
But they threw some. I thought that this could be all first-time nominees, but Jessie Mueller and LaShawns ended up with Tony nominations, despite the odds against them.
Yeah, and it's an overstuffed category too. When was the last time we had 6 in this? I haven't looked.
This one, I don't know. I know last year we had 6 in one of the featured categories, I think. But I don't remember last time we've had 6 in here. That's only recently that they've had the possibility of expanding it. And unfortunately, even with 6, both of the women from Frozen got left out in the cold.
That was very. I don't want to talk over your pun because it was very well placed.
I'll be here all night.
I'm very surprised. I thought Patty Murin would get in, which really surprising given that they actually have an extra slot here. I don't know necessarily who was on that cusp and who tied, but I'm surprised that she's not here.
And you know, the show's compared to Wicked a lot, or at least recently, and I thought, you know, these big, like, Casey Levy performs Let It Go plus other songs 8 times a week, which is like a feat worthy of Tony nomination itself, just to get out there and do it. But I personally, for the win, I think Katrina Lenk is maybe in first place, but you know, after seeing My Fair Lady, I'm torn because Lauren Ambrose, even though no one has ever won for this role before, it's just a bigger role. And when we talk about things that are the most acting or the most design, winning Tonys or winning any award ceremony, she's doing so much, and it's a big prod comedy.
Yeah. I know that they don't necessarily think about egalitarianism when they're voting for who's going to win, but I think this is probably the only acting award that the band's visit would win. And I don't know if that'll sway any voters. I don't think that they think like that, but for that reason, I think Katrina Lenk is out front. Because I don't see Tony Shalhoub winning, even though he's great in the role. Same for Stachel in supporting actor, featured actor. But
there are a lot of people who have Tony Shalhoub winning lead actor, and I do think with the 4 nominees there, I think basically it's a pretty even race.
Yeah.
Tony Shalhoub is the one I actually have. I mean, no disrespect, I love him as an actor, but he's the one I have down at the bottom, just because, I mean, if you think Katrina Lenk is doing subtle work, it's like that role is like very, very subdued.
Yeah.
And does not sing. I think Ethan Slater I think SpongeBob is going to win Tony.
Wow.
He's so physically active. It's like more enthusiasm than you could ever imagine in a role. I don't know. I think there's something really infectious about that. But he's up against Joshua Henry, who has been Tony nominated before, and we know they love him. And excuse me, Harry Hedden Patton is in a role that has also won before for Rex Harrison. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's actually any of the 4 of them could win. No disrespect to Tony Shalhoub either, because even though he doesn't sing very much, it's an incredibly affecting performance despite how subdued it is. So any of them could win. I think I have Joshua Henry out front, mostly because his soliloquy towards the end of the first act of Carousel is just phenomenal. And I could see Tony voters, after hearing him perform that gargantuan number that's so well known, doing it so brilliantly, I think a lot of them will be compelled to vote for him. So I have Henry. I could be convinced to go for Ethan Slater. We'll see how the season pans out, but I'm sticking with Henry for now.
I'll convince you. Or don't and get it wrong. And then you'll
sabotage.
I do think Henry's co-star Lindsay Mendez, in a very, very tight featured actress race, could pull out a win. This is the category that basically tanked my odds on Gold Jury, because I got, I think, 2 correct out of the 5 that were released. But now that we see the nominees, we have Lindsay Mendez, who's been the front runner for a while. We have Ashley Park, who I thought there were going to be a ton of Mean Girls. I thought at least Rockwell would be there. But now that they've snubbed the other Mean Girls, we just have one woman, Ashley Park, who they know from The King and I in previous years, and she had another role in an off-Broadway musical, K-pop. So she's been on a roll recently.
Yeah.
And I think can be really competitive now that she's not splitting votes with her co-stars. And then Ariana DeBose from Summer, she's basically the lead. She's kind of a co-lead with LaShawn. She managed to get into featured actress. She sings the crap out of the score, dances the crap out of the show. So I feel like the 3 of them are slightly above the veteran actors, Diana Rigg and Renee Fleming. Do you have a preference between the women of that category?
I'm not sure. I think I will have Lindsay Mendez out front, but I don't know. I could be swayed by Ashley Park or Ariana, or even I'm thinking maybe Renee Fleming too. I'm not going to predict Renee Fleming, but again, if we're talking about these beloved songs that they get to sing, she does a gorgeous rendition of a classic song from Carousel.
Which got Audra her first Tony.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough, I don't think. I'm just kind of throwing it out there as an idea. Make of it what you will. But yeah, I think I don't see necessarily a clear front runner out of those 5. So it could get interesting.
Yeah. The one category we didn't talk about is featured actor. I think Norbert Leo Butz is going to get his third Tony Award in somewhat of a slam dunk.
Yeah. This is the category I wouldn't say most disappointed in, but so much to me missed potential with the band's visit, a huge embarrassment of riches in the male ensemble in that cast. There could have been 3 or 4 more nominees from that show, all deserving in this category. Not enough room for them, but really thrilled for Ariel Stachel, who's just a standout amongst that really terrific ensemble.
Yeah, the problem with the band's visit is all those men are great, but they have maybe one song.
They each have have one standout each.
Adam Cantor just comes out and breaks your heart with that final number, Waiting, but he's literally just been staring at a phone the whole time. Yeah. So it's hard to get a nomination for such a small part, even though it's so effective.
Yeah, I'm bummed for him, especially not only for this role, although I agree with you, he doesn't, his huge moment is right at the end and it's shared with the rest of the ensemble, but also he missed out for a great, well-deserved nomination for Fiddler too. They need to make it up to this guy.
Well, he'll get one eventually, I'm sure. So in terms of, speaking of people who weren't nominated, do you have the biggest snub? What made you most angry on these musical nominations that didn't make it in?
I think it was a collective
band's visit.
For the band's visit. Yeah. Not that they underperformed or didn't get their due. They did incredibly well, double-digit nominees, but they could have gotten a few more guys in there.
Mine's also a collective that made me most angry, but it's a collective for Once on This Island.
Yeah.
It is such a strong ensemble. I mean, they had great opportunities to award Alex Newell, who gives an incredible performance, bring people to their feet with Mama Will Provide. The women are all incredible. Merle Dandridge left the show, but she kind of, sorry, there's a bug flying around me. She like reinvented how Papa Gee is portrayed, and Kenita Miller made something out of a part that I've never really paid attention to before. And Lea Salonga is just always great being Lea Salonga. So
yeah,
that was what made me angry.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, we'll switch it over to talking about the plays. This bug, it's like live theater. Anything can happen on a Google Hangout at Gold Derby. The biggest story for me on the plays was everyone expected Harry Potter and the Cursed Child to be the biggest story, have all the headlines coming out of the Tonys, and then Angels in America came out of nowhere, stole their headline for the most nominated play this year, and actually with 11 nominations is the most nominated play in Tony history. It just surpassed The Revival of Fences and Coast of Utopia.
Wow.
Were you surprised about that? Do you think one is more deserving than the other?
No, it's really hard to compare, especially, I mean, we are really talking about event marathon theater at its most, well, maybe not most extreme, but certainly the most extreme we've seen in a while in one season. And admittedly, they both, it was really close in terms of number of nominations. I think they're both way out front to win both of their categories. They both have really good nights and both earned a lot of well-deserved nominations. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Angels kind of stealing Harry's thunder a little bit today.
And one of the ways they got to 11 nominations was a best score.
Yeah.
Which I looked back at because I cover this stuff and missed it. And I was like, did I just not read the eligibility rulings right? They never made any announcement about the score for Angels being eligible, but they made an announcement to make sure everyone knew that the choreography was eligible and all this stuff. So it just struck me as weird. And it was with a five nominee lineup for best score, which I feel like says they're not probably thrilled with at least one of the musical scores in there.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me that they did that. They need Tony Awards we need to go to the Tony Awards site and just have a list of what is eligible where.
I know. They make it so unnecessarily difficult.
I spend too much time looking at things to, it shouldn't take a Sherlock Holmes detective agency to figure it out. Anyway.
But on that point, Harry Potter getting into a category that occasionally plays get into, but not all the time, best choreography. So both of them got to their double-digit nominations with these kind of stealth nominations in categories that plays don't always break into.
Yeah, that's true. And you said that they're both far out front for their categories. I definitely agree for best play with Harry Potter. It's actually the only new play this season that's still running. Everything else is already closed. What did you have in that fifth slot when they opened up the fifth slot? Because I think most of us had Meteor Shower, and then they came out with a love fest for Latin History for Morons. It was its only nomination, but they're giving Leguizamo a special Tony as well.
I will admit to having a few different things in that last slot, none of which were Latin history. So shame on me. But I started with Meteor Shower for about 20 minutes or so last night. I had 1984, thinking, I could see maybe the political bent to that. And then I ultimately switched back to Meteor Shower when I was rereading the reviews. Neither of those contenders seem particularly compelling as a fifth nominee. I thought Meteor Shower had the edge, but apparently I was sleeping on the only other option that they cured for. So,
and in the revival section, I do think there's a bit of a fight for Three Tall Women. I think that team wants it.
Yeah.
And they did very well with nominations, except for Alison Pill was like the one really big thing they missed, which I will say I still blame you for convincing me to put Alison Pill in my nomination lineup and getting a terrible score for it. But
you still did better than me, so
I know I did do better than you. That's good. But do we think that they could somehow take it away from Angels? It's sort of like apples and oranges in terms of like this huge two-part epic versus a much more intimate small drama. I
don't think that Three Tall Women is likely to win. I agree with you. I should kind of rephrase how I made my earlier comment. Best Revival is a very competitive category. In any given year, I think maybe 2 or 3 of those could really contend for the award. I think Angels is probably far out front of Three Tall Women. I agree that that's definitely in the second place slot. And I think it's going to win at least one acting, Three Tall Women anyway, is going to at least win one acting award. Same for Angel. So I think they're going to be kind of on par in some of these underlying categories. So maybe you're right. Maybe there's a little bit more of a contest there than I'm giving it credit for.
Well, Glenda Jackson definitely, I think, has lead actress sewn up.
Agreed.
I can't really see any of the other 3 women. It's Lauren Ridloff from Children of a Lesser God, Amy Schumer from Meteor Shower, and Condola Rashad of St. Joan.
Yeah.
And each woman it's the only nomination from all of those shows.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a show they really embraced otherwise. So I think Glenda Jackson, I think she could win in a competitive year anyway, but I think she's
agreed
going to win easily this year, which is not the case over in the featured actress section.
No.
I am very upset because from day one I've been championing Deborah Finlay from The Children. I think The Children is incredible. I think if MTC had switched their schedule
Yeah,
and ran The Children as their spring show, that could have
agreed.
been competitive for so many more. It just ran under the radar in in the middle of winter and was mostly forgotten about.
Yeah.
But I had Finlay in from day one. I had her in at 100 to 1 odds, and then last night I took her out
No.
at 11:59 p.m.
No.
But I'm very happy for you, Deborah. I'm just
Me too.
happy
That's
for me.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun on talking about our favorite noms of the day, but she was definitely one of my favorites. I thought her performance in that show was just spectacular. Didn't think that she would be remembered, especially because all three actors from that cast were in the featured categories. I didn't know if she would be right. All three of them were in the featured.
All three.
Yeah, I didn't know if it would happen, especially since it closed way back in December or January. Thrilled that she's there. Not thrilled that we love her so much, but we neglected to stick our necks out and stick it out for her. But I don't know. Do you think who's out front of that list? Because I could easily see three of those five contending.
I have Denise Goff from Angels in America,
Me
who
too.
plays Harper. I don't think that's a slam dunk, though. It's pretty. I mean, if Laurie Metcalf hadn't won a Tony last year, I think she might be the front runner because she's someone they've had wanted to basically award for forever. But I don't know. Harper is such a beast of a role, and she does an incredible job with it. I mean, I've studied Angels in America. I've performed scenes from Angels in America. It's my favorite play of all time, and she does the best night flight to San Francisco monologue I've ever seen. But Noma Dumezweni from Harry Potter won an Olivier Award just like Denise Goff did. She could take it, and Denise Goff has the chance of splitting her support with her co-star Susan Brown, who also got in.
Yeah, I think it's those three as well. I think Laurie Metcalf, I don't think the factor against her is that she just won, especially since it's in a different category. Judith Light did that recently, both in featured actress, I believe, back to back. But I just don't know if this is not the year, and the category I think is too competitive for a repeat for her right now.
Yeah, and I would argue when Judith Light did it, she had the most obvious choice, in both years. It just
agreed.
Was, flamboyant, a scene-stealing choice, and I think all five of these women are that character this year.
Yeah, good point.
And then featured actor in a play. Speaking of Angels in America, they somehow, even though they loved it and gave it more nominations than any play ever, they snubbed James McArdle.
Yeah, I had him in second.
Me too.
So go figure.
But I think that leaves the door pretty wide open for a Nathan Lane win as Roy Cohn, which I mean would be well deserved because he made me cry for Roy Cohn. So that's a very good job. Do you think anyone else is in there to win?
I don't think it's likely. I think Nathan Lane has never won for a play. I believe he's been nominated for quite a few plays. I think when I was doing the write-up, he only has the 2 for musicals. It'd be his first Tony for a play. He's been nominated for many plays recently. I think they're looking for an opportunity to give it to him. This is, some are saying, the role of his career, which is quite a statement considering the career that he's had. So yeah, I think Nathan Lane's pretty much got it. I would maybe make a case for Brian Tyree Henry, except his co-star is there now. And I think that might, I don't know if any...
Sarah really has the lead role. So
yeah.
I don't know that they'll be united around one guy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think David Morse is going to do it. And I don't think Anthony Boyle. At this point, I don't think so either. Although when I get to see Harry Potter, I'll let you know if I change my mind. Happening soon.
Well, that too is sort of another kind of lead role competing in featured. There's a lot there, and he won the Olivier as well. On that past awards history,
right?
With Robert Morse, it was interesting to me because he's the one person in that category who is cited all through the precursor awards, even though there's really no precursor-ness to those early awards. The Iceman Cometh overperformed, I thought, from what I thought it was going to do. I didn't think it would get in all those design categories.
Right.
Do we think it wins anything out of all of its nominations, or is it just going to get overpowered by Angels and Three Tall Women?
At this point in time, I don't see it winning. I'm not sure about the design categories yet. I haven't seen it. I'm actually seeing it Tony Day, so I will have a period of hours to make some changes. If I think if the design blows me away, I can go in and maybe have an hour to make some changes. But I don't think it's going to win revival. I don't think it's going to win director. I don't think it's going to win actor or featured actor. And those are the top 4 that it was in. So I don't think so. I think it's going to probably be shut out unless one of those design categories comes through. How about you?
I think actually, speaking of Nathan Lane, the problem with Iceman Cometh is that we just had a revival of Iceman Cometh with Nathan Lane and Brian Dennehy at BAM not too long ago. And I think for, if you're not an O'Neill super fan, going to sit through a 4-hour drama is not everyone's like cup of tea if it's not like an event like Harry Potter or Angels in America is. And I think, people really talked about that Nathan Lane production like it was just perfection.
Yeah.
And I think it's very soon to sort of be in comparison.
Right.
Is going to be held back by it.
That's a great point. And also, I mean, not that it's a great comparison either, but we also had an O'Neill revival recently of Long Day's Journey, which despite its galvanizing lead actress performance, which won, it couldn't come through in revival. Apples and oranges to make a comparison, but yeah, I don't even see that much support.
And the flip side is happening with Long Day's Journey, and BAM is doing Long Day's Journey with Leslie Manville.
That's right.
We just did this, you guys. There's other plays. I love Leslie Manville, but we just did it.
Good point.
In terms of snubs, on the play side, was there anything? What made you most angry?
Oh, I am looking over my notes. I don't know. How about you? What made you angry? I need a minute to think.
Oh, James McArdle, I think.
Yeah,
by
that's
far.
A good one.
I mean, and I wish everyone from The Children could have gotten nominated, but
yeah,
I was mad that Ron Cook never found a spot in featured actor. But I mean, James McArdle was just. Lewis is not often a part I'm able to feel sympathy for. It requires a really incredible actor to do that, and James McArdle was heartbreaking, and it's an incredible performance. And I thought, to a similar vein, Lee Pace in Angels was great. Joe is because he's so straight-laced and tightly wound, he's very hard to make the audience feel for him, and he does an outstanding job. So those would be my 2.
Yeah, I would voice Allison Pill for Three Tall Women, which I thought she would get in. I was a little bit wavering on it, but when I was kind of moving my contenders around, I thought she was definitely a solid 3rd in that category. And also Laura Benanti for what people said was just a brilliant comedic performance, which is something we don't always get to see her do on stage, but she does it so damn well. And I want to see her win a second Tony.
Yeah. So what, in terms of who did show up, who maybe was a surprise or maybe just something that you love, what was your favorite nominee to wake up to?
Of the whole list?
Of the whole list. Final question.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I don't want to say something vanilla because all the ones that I really cared about got in. I mentioned Deborah Finley earlier, who I know that you wrote a great piece for earlier too. So yeah, I don't know. I think everybody that I really cared about is here, and nobody in particular. How about you?
Oh, boring. Pick a side. I'm kidding. Deborah Finlay has to be my favorite. I think if that play was still running, as much as I love Denise Goff and Laurie Metcalf, she could take down everyone in that category.
Yeah.
It's a it is again one of these performances that could be defined as lead since it's only a 3-character piece and she's the center of everything. It's just really stunning, nuanced work that you don't often get to see in a Broadway house, and that whole experience of seeing the children was, I think, the biggest surprise to me this Broadway season thus far, because there was no buzz for it. There was like not a lot of advertising for it, and I kind of just like bought a ticket on my own because I was like, oh, this is closing and I haven't seen it, and fell in love with every actor in it, and the script was incredible. So
yeah, I have to agree with you. If it was still running, she gave me two like of the most shocking moments I've had in my theater going season, in the same play, in a short 1-act play. I think she could actually win if the show was still running and all of the voters we could guarantee would see it. Yeah, that's the only downside to picking her as a contender here.
All right. Well, I think we will leave it there. Thank you for talking with me, David.
Thanks, Sam.
And we will continue to give you some coverage over the course of the next month on the ramping up to the eventual winners at the Tony ceremony. And I will keep on trying to beat David at his nominations and hopefully succeed. Thanks for talking with me.
Bye, Sam.